Hello there, and welcome to a very special edition of Behind the Bench with Neil Francis. This will be our first dual audio and video episode. Anyone on the video episode will already know who our special guest is today. I am Gareth Hewish, and as always, I'm joined by Mr. John Donovan.
Hello.
And the man on the marquee, Mr. Neil Francis.
Hey guys, miss being in the studio with you, but hey, times must.
Indeed, it's very lonely in here at the moment. But it's not lonely in this chat as we have another special guest with us today, live all the way from Canada, Mr. Brent Walton. Brent, how are you, sir?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. This is funny. This should be fun.
What's that behind you, Brent?
What's that?
What's that behind you, Brent?
Oh, that's that's the treadmill I don't use.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually it's standing up because that's where it's stored.
You're on hill sprints, aren't you? Yeah, it's quite a gradient.
Yeah.
Brent, the last time we saw you was on your very special
we saw
night.
too much of you.
On your very special night, a night in your honor in the Viola Arena. How have you been keeping since that night? And I certainly saw that you enjoyed yourself over that weekend.
That was absolutely incredible. What a memory I'll have the rest of my life. It was everything I hoped it would be. Still very thankful, and now with the times nowadays, I'm very thankful it happened when it did. It was incredible, and I don't know how much we should get into that night, but
I think that's on public record already. There was 3,000.
Yeah. It was.
Has the paint come off, Brent?
Actually, funny story was the next morning, we went out with a few of the guys then after, and the next morning we woke up in the hotel bed and it was like a crime scene. The sheets, the blankets, everything was red. So I had to get ahead of it, like I've had to in the past, is let Todd know, hey, big guy, there may be some extra charges with the hotel. We asked for new sheets and blankets the next night, and they came and took care of it. And
Nice.
Quite embarrassing, but yeah, there was paint all over the bed, and then we had to buy basically paint thinner. You guys had a name for it over there. We didn't have the same name here in Canada, but basically, yeah, I think so, something like that. It was at Morrison's. Todd told me what to go buy because it was the last night. It was the last night, and it was still there.
So for those that are listening that don't know the sort of background to this, you might have seen the pictures, but you did like a pre-game routine, and it involved getting spray painted, but instead of using body paint like you might have done, a bit of a rush job, and you ended up spraying yourself with car paint.
Yeah? Basically, they had me come over, and nobody confirmed I was doing my pre-game speech or not. So it was only, they kept going back and forth because they didn't want to freak out the new guys. They thought maybe this new NHLer coming in, maybe it would be too much for him.
Yeah. Wasn't it Morrison's first game?
Yeah, it was his first game, and they thought maybe that might be too much, that all of a sudden a fat naked guy jumps out of the closet.
What an intro to UK hockey.
So
that's what I've got planned afterwards, though. So,
well, they told me a couple hours before that I was in fact doing a pregame speech. They said you will do the Q&A, and then you'll go over and do your pregame speech, and then you'll have about a minute to get over to drop the puck. So I had to plan very quickly. So I called Pigs and said, this is what I need, because I had thought about it. I had an idea what to do if this was happening. I said, I need the Taz head, I need red spray paint, and I need red hockey tape or whatever. So yeah, they after the Q&A, snuck me around into the coach's room, and the only red paint was the paint that they used to like paint the lines on the ice. So I said, well, I want the goat on my back, and we did that in '88. And then Pigs is looking at me and he goes, hey, there should be more. I go, yeah, we need a devil. So that he Googles how to draw a devil, so that he drew the devil on my belly. This is during warm-ups. And yeah, the only thing we forgot was the C for captain. But I always like to review my performance to see how I can improve.
True pro like that.
Yeah, but that was the paint to paint the lines, I guess, and my goodness, it didn't come off. So actually, Lisa, she was a real trooper that trip. I bought a couple jars of that paint thinner. I didn't know how much I would need, and we just got to work in the bathroom of the hotel. Some cotton pads and the paint thinner, and yeah, my skin didn't feel well. It was very tingly. It wasn't a good feeling. I had some regrets, but now that it's all over, it's a great memory.
Part of me really hopes it showed up on the X-ray machine going through the airport. Just still like perfect imprint of '88 and the goat written on you.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing was how we all started this was I was just randomly walking the dog the other night when this whole COVID thing was starting. And I said, I need something to take my mind off of all this. I'm going to listen to Behind the Bench with Franny and get my mind off of things and see what they're talking about. And then you guys started talking about me in that one episode, and I had a good laugh. And I thought, man, you know what? This is a great time to do something like that and tell some stories that maybe I wouldn't tell normally. Maybe they just stay in the locker room, but I think everybody could use a laugh right now.
What did we say in that episode? Were we okay?
Yeah. I think some of Franny's facts were a little off, you know? Like, I did know I was signing with Cardiff, but the original email started with, I thought I was emailing Belfast. Yeah. And then when Todd wrote back, he said, hey, yeah, I'm actually not with Belfast anymore, but I don't get into recruiting, and then our coach will be calling you soon. So then I had to get to town to figure out who their coach was, and then I was like, oh, Andrew Lord, I know him. I just played against him. I'm like, why is he the coach?
Oh, he's also
yeah, I was very confused of where I was going when I thought I just played against a guy in Germany, and he's the coach. But anyways, okay. I got off topic there.
Oh, we do it all the time.
Oh no, that's what we're all about.
That's our DNA.
Brent, I guess we'll start. We'll skip and kind of start with your kind of statistic start, I guess. So you came through college hockey through the NCAA, through West Michigan University. Got any interesting insights into people who might not know what the NCAA is? And I imagine a college team is pretty ripe for a few interesting incidents.
Yeah, actually, last night I had a good FaceTime with my college roommates. Got a little later than we were anticipating, but that's kind of how we functioned for 4 years at Western Michigan. Yeah, basically for my career it started, I was lucky enough that my hometown, Elmira, Ontario, had a junior team that I could live at home with my parents and play a high enough level to get a scholarship. So I got to live at home until I was 17, going into university, turning 18. So I got to live right with my parents until I had the scholarship, went to Western Michigan. And then in Elmira, we were really good. We won the whole thing once. My second year, we won it all, the Sutherland Cup. And then my last year, I did very well. It was my kind of breakout year of really coming into my own. We went right to game 7 of the very finals, and I hit the post in the last minute, and then it hit the post, went right outside the blue line, and they went down and scored on the empty net. So we lost in game 7, and then I went to Western Michigan, and we were not good for 4 years. And it was, I'm not used to losing. I'm not good at it. But yeah, for 4 years, we had a blast. We had so much fun. We had a great group of guys, but man, we weren't very good at hockey.
So you had a couple of guys on that team, I think, in your last couple of years that Devils fans will be familiar with, yeah? Jeff Pierce won, and in your last year, Chris Frank.
That's right, yeah.
Frank the Tank.
Frank the Tank, me and him, yeah, well, actually, he played in Brayhead, but my last year, the coach would say in practice, because Frank the Tank, he was killing people in college. Like, he would just end people's careers with these body checks. And every one-on-one drill, the coach would say, "Wally, are you ready for pro? Are you?" And then he would tell Frank that nobody else was allowed to go against me, only Frank. And he would tell him to kill me. So our one-on-one practices was Chris Frank trying to kill me because the coach told him to. It really wasn't very fun.
Frankie doesn't.
So yes, I know.
Frankie doesn't. Need
I
to
know
be told
Chris
that.
Frank well.
He doesn't need to be told to kill you either.
He doesn't know, but he was my buddy, and he didn't want to do it. He's just listening to the coach. But yeah, no, me and Chris were great friends, and he was just doing what he was told. But yeah, it was a bizarre coaching tactic.
Yeah, yeah. And Jeff Pierce as well, really skilled guy. But
yeah. I don't think in college he really got played that much. He didn't really get the ice time for me to really see what he was capable of. Obviously, he got out of there with different coaches and started getting more ice time. But I saw he did have a very good year when he did go to Cardiff, right? Was he there 1 year?
Yeah, it was so strange. I mean, we've talked about him before, that he may have scored the best top 5 goals that I've seen Devils players scored, like just some unbelievable goals, and yet we didn't bring him back for a second year. And he had 30-odd goals. I mean, John, you'll probably know better than me. He had good stats that year, but the consistency wasn't there, was it?
He was one of the best stick handlers I've seen play for the Devils, but and Brent falls into that category as well. But consistency.
Second best guy from Western Michigan University.
Absolutely. No, I was a big fan of Chris Frank. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Frank. He was a scary guy to play against. I remember the first time, because I hadn't seen him since university, and we were great friends, and I never saw him. Our paths never crossed in pro until I came to Cardiff, and he had been in the league for a few years, and we played a game, and I was thinking it would be, "Hey, how are you? Like, nice to see you. How's the wife and kids?" And then he looked through me when I first saw him, and his one eye was a little crooked. And I was like, "Oh, that's not Chris. No, nope, that guy wants to kill me." And yeah, I think he tried to cross-check me in the face. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And then we continued to battle the whole time. And then after the game, he came up and said, "Hey, are we still friends?" I said, "Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay." But yeah, he was a gamer. When you put skates and a stick in that boy's hands, he flipped a switch. There's no doubt about that.
And another guy that you played with maybe your whole time there, Patrick Dwyer, ended up in Belfast.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Yeah, made the NHL, and I think you outscored him most years too. No big deal.
Yeah, that was yeah, no big deal. Yeah, Patty was he was a grade or class before me, so he was done a year before me. But I remember him saying in college, "I am going to do whatever I have to make sure I play a game in the NHL." I never had that in me. I never once thought I could make the NHL, which was partly my fault. But he was determined he was going to make the NHL, and he knew it in college. And then to see what he did afterwards was very impressive. And then when he actually went to the same team I played with in Denmark, and then he went to Belfast, and then to think of where he went out of college and then y'all kind of end up in the same place at the end, it was pretty interesting.
You just took the quicker route, didn't you?
Yeah, I just went to Europe right away.
Yeah, looking at your journey, Brent, it's interesting you say you about your aspirations for the NHL, because when you were in college, you got a call up to the AHL. So it seemed that your career trajectory was going that way. What were your AHL experiences like with Syracuse?
Oh, I could go on for a while, but yeah, I guess for some reason I was the guy that I was never in a big market in minor hockey. I was a small town kid, never really recruited anywhere until I went to college. And then even when I went to college, I had came from a junior league that wasn't as good as the other leagues. So there wasn't many expectations. And then my college career started going very well, especially by my third year. I think at the end of the regular season, I was fourth in college hockey in scoring. And like the three guys that were ahead of me were like first round picks, or Zach Parisi or whoever it was. I don't even remember. TJ Hensick maybe, but I was right up there. And then I got these agents calling me, and I'm like, wow, this is bizarre. Like, okay. And after my third year, my agent said to me, he said, you're not going back to school. You're going to sign with an NHL team. I thought, wow, this is bizarre. Okay. And then he started calling everybody, because, you know, he's now the agent of the fourth highest scoring college player. And then he calls me back. He goes, I think you're going to have to go back to school because nobody's seen you play. Western Michigan's too bad. So none of the scouts had actually seen me play, is what he told me. And I went back to school, but it was a lockout anyway, so I couldn't sign. And then at the end of that season, my senior year, Columbus guaranteed me a one-way AHL deal if I would go there at the end of my season, if they could have first crack assigning me come July 1st. They wanted to see for themselves what I could do, and then they would get first crack at signing me July 1st if they liked me. Well, what they didn't know is our season ended, and our college careers came to an end, and then they had me sit around for 2 weeks waiting to see what was happening. And I had no ice. I had nothing going on, and all my buddies, their hockey careers are over. My college roommates' hockey careers are over. And yeah, we were having a good time. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, my agent says, I think it's a good idea to go to Syracuse. And I'm thinking, I don't know if it is. But I went and played on the fourth line with the fighter, Mike Scroy. I think he played
Sheffield, yeah.
So he was my line mate, and we didn't get many opportunities out there. And that was back when the AHL was just fighting. There were the biggest, scariest guys on every team. Our team had 4 or 5 of them. Mike Scroy, Brandon Sugden, Darcy Verreau, like the list went on. These guys were killers. And then there was me playing on the fourth line. And they would say to me, well, you know, the first 2 lines are first round draft picks or second round draft picks, and you're a college free agent. So, yeah, then I ended up the next year going down to the coast, because they said, you're not a third, fourth line player. You're a top 2 line player. And when there's a space up there, we'll give you a call. And, well, what happens if a first or second line guy gets hurt? You don't call a guy up from the coast. You move a guy from the third line to the second line, and you move on. So I could tell North America wasn't really for me. I could tell it wasn't working out the way I was hoping it would. So then after that year of dating Syracuse, I just I
Sorry,
left.
Brent, can I just jumping back? When you said they didn't know when the college season ended, I thought you were going to say like it was a 3-month drag time. It was 2 weeks, man. Just stay sober for 2 weeks.
Oh no, I was fine and I was working out, but there was no ice, there was nothing. Like our season was over, so
Fair enough.
I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know if I was going to go play. And then your team just ends, their season's over, so everybody's doing the year-end parties, and you're part of that team. That was the team you were on. So
Fair enough.
it's tough, and it's not like I was boozing for 2 weeks. It was you do your year-end thing, and then all of a sudden I got the call, and I haven't skated in 2 weeks, and then you show up, which your whole career you've got to pick your hockey stick, pick your curve, and then you go to the AHL, one step away from the NHL, and they say, well, you can't use a Bauer stick. You have to use a CCM. I'm like, well, they don't make my curve. Like, what do you mean? They go, well, you have to pick a stick from one of the other players' sticks. So I had to go on the rack and literally go through the other right-handed shooter's sticks and pick a stick that was similar to mine. And I worked my whole life to get to the AHL, and then they're telling me I can't even use the stick I want. So then I use this stick that, like, I'd have a guy wide open in front of the net, and I'd go to make the pass, and I'd sail it 6 feet in the air and almost hit him in the face.
Not good of it to Mike Scroy as well.
Well, yeah, you try and give him a backdoor tap, and it's pretty tough. But yeah, my AHL career. So then when they were playing me on the fourth line, I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, that fourth liners fight, right? So that's what we're all doing here. Everybody was fighting. We'd play games, and there'd be like 6-7 fights, and I'm thinking, well, I'm not doing much out here. Like, I play 1-2 shifts a game, and I'm on the fourth line. I think fourth liners are supposed to fight. So that I went out, grabbed this French kid, Francis Lemieux, and I'm like, I don't think he'd kill me. I hope he doesn't look like a killer. So I just grabbed him and started fighting. I wanted to show them, hey, if I'm a fourth liner, I'll do whatever it takes, but wasn't very good at fighting either.
Yeah.
So, Brent, you moved you spent 1 year in the East Coast, like you alluded to. Why did you decide to go to Germany and Europe so quickly?
That's actually that was the big decision in my career. It was I signed to go to Pensacola, Florida, in the East Coast. So after that season in Dayton, we had gone to the finals, almost won the East Coast. We lost to Idaho in the finals in 5 games. Basically my first year pro was when I learned how to play defensive hockey. Like, in college, we weren't good. My coaches kind of allowed it. I cared about scoring. That's all I cared about, because our team wasn't winning anything. And I probably wasn't the best teammate because I was so focused on scoring goals because I knew our team wasn't really going anywhere. And then I went to Syracuse. The coach in the AHL wasn't much of a teacher. He didn't really coach. Basically, if you can do it, you're going to play. And if you can't do it, you're not going to play. But there was no teaching. So I went to the coast, and this guy, Derek Clancy, was basically our coach. He's now, I think, the head pro scout of Pittsburgh, but I could be off. I know that's where he went afterwards. This guy taught me how to play. He taught me the structure of the D zone, always being on the right side of the puck. He really changed my career that year, because if I wouldn't have figured it out that year, it would have been over right away. Because if you can't play defense, you can't play. And our team had really not much skill at all that year in Dayton. We went all the way to the finals by winning games 1-0, 2-1, and we just played defense. And he really changed my whole career. But then after that season, I got offered to go back with Columbus, but it was like a East Coast AHL deal. So basically you're tying your hands that's the only team that can call you up from the coast. So if you just go to the coast as a free agent, you can get called up by anybody. So I decided, well, if I'm going to be in the coast, I may as well go to Florida and live it up, go golfing. So I was actually on my way there. I was driving. I was going to hit Milwaukee AHL camp on the way to Pensacola, because that's what they wanted me to do. Is, you're going to get cut in the AHL and then you're going to go play in the coast. So I was on my way there. And then it was friends from home, actually. They were a couple of years older than me, a couple guys that were really good at hockey, that they played for the junior team when I was a super fan type thing. When I was a young kid, they were the stars, the junior team. They were in Germany because they had played their 5-6 years minor leagues and then went over. They asked one of my buddies, that guy Brandon Dietrich, do you know anybody? Because what they would do is they'd go through training camp with one less import and then figure out what they need to help their team. And they needed a right winger to play with him. So they asked him if he knew anybody. And he said, well, yeah, I do. I know. And he said, me. So they called me and I said, oh, I'm going to give North America one more year. I'm going to give it one more shot, see how it goes. And they're like, okay. And then 2 weeks later, I'm actually at Western Michigan on my way to the AHL camp, skating with the college team. And they call again. And they're like, hey, like, we really want you. Do you want to come? And then one of my buddies that I played,
you as well.
you know what? This guy played in the UK too for 1 year. Dave Cousineau. Do you know him?
Oh, yeah. He played for the Steelers as well, yeah?
He played somewhere in the UK.
Yeah, I believe he played for the Steelers.
So he played with me at Western Michigan, and he calls me because Brandon Dietrich's his good friend, and he says, hey, do you think you're going to make the NHL? I'm like, no, I don't think I am going to. He goes, well, then what the hell are you doing? Go to Germany, make more money, see the world. I'm like, well, my girlfriend and my dog, we're all going to Florida. He goes, man, this is professional hockey. They'll bring the dog, they'll bring your girlfriend, like, go. So I called Lisa and I said, hey, so I know I told you we were going to move to Florida. You got your job transferred there. But I think for my career, I should go to Germany. And she goes, well, and then that was kind of like, what's she going to say? Am I going to go? Am I not? And she said, okay, well, when do we go? I said, well, I'm actually going to the airport right now. I'll see you there in 2 weeks. So that's how it started. Was basically, it was me deciding I wasn't going to make it, because when you look at the NHL, the first two lines were Sidney Crosby, Malkin. Like, these guys were high-end guys. The skilled guys are also 6 foot. And I fit in Germany. Germany needed goal scorers. And, he played half the amount of games. That first year in the coast, between the AHL and the East Coast and going to the finals, I think I played 100 hockey games that year. And I was ruined. My body was ruined. And to think you could only play 48 games and not much hitting, it was much more up my alley.
Well, you certainly found a home in Germany. You spent 6 seasons in the second tier of German hockey. Mostly, unfortunately, for any Devils fans listening, for the German version of the Steelers, where you spent the majority of your time there. You must have really clicked with the lifestyle straight away in Germany.
Yeah, it was the first year was in Landshut. And surprisingly, I know you guys will think this is surprising, but right around December, they put me in like a fat camp. So our days off were not days off for Wally. I got to do 60 minutes of cardio with this old German fella that had the oldest workout gear you could ever find. Bible Frans was his name. And the GM says, you're fat. You can't drink beer anymore. If you need to drink, you can only drink wine. Um, and they'd make me do cardio for 60 minutes on Mondays and Wednesdays. And that they wouldn't let me kill penalties because I was too out of shape. And then, sure enough, as soon as playoffs came around, all of a sudden they decided I was in shape and I could play penalty kill and I could play power play and I could play everything. And then we went to the finals and almost won it. And
It sounds like Groundhog Day, Wally.
well, you know what? I did have a lot of coaches that took the time to take interest in me.
Hey,
Oh, wow.
special
There we go.
appearance.
It's Colby.
Go Devils!
Hey, you still got it.
Cool.
Still
Yeah,
gonna
the
be
kids
still
just
gonna be a
ambushed
hero.
with all their Devils
Look at that.
swag here. That
Hey,
Oh,
guys.
look at that.
Okay. So where was I? So yeah, in Landshut, my first year
You
over
were just
there.
telling us, Brent, that you were trained to fitness by someone from the Hitler Youth, which I thought was
It
great.
was it was all the guys in the team thought it was hilarious that Wally had to go do cardio on Mondays
Yes.
and Wednesdays
With
because they didn't have to do it.
with
But
hair, Andreas.
no, it was. Yeah, well, and then after my first season with the Devils, and what makes Lordo such a good coach is he really does take the time for every player, and he knows what every player needs. And Lordo, I was there still doing my school, finishing up that year. He made me go work out with him every morning, like me and the coach working out every morning. And because he knew I needed the push. I always needed the push. I always needed someone to do that for me. And when somebody would do that for me, I'd be really good. Yeah, that year was the best I've ever felt. And then I played a preseason game and hurt my knee, and I was never the same. So yeah, all that work just went out the window. But so yeah, Germany. They made me do the fat camp. We go to the playoffs, and then I'm actually in really good shape because I haven't had a day off since Christmas. We went to the playoffs, and in Germany, you're allowed to sign with other teams in the middle of your season. I don't know if you guys knew that. Like, you could be playing. I went to a practice one day, and our best defenseman has all these reporters around him. I'm like, what's going on? And they go, oh, he just signed with Bietigheim for next year. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we still have 2 months left. They're like, well, yeah, they just announced it, though. He's already signed for next season. I'm like, that's kind of bizarre. So, like, what happens if we play them in the playoffs? They're like, yeah, no, like, that's next season. This season, he plays for us. I'm like, oh, okay. So we go into the playoffs, and then the first two teams we played and put them out, they both offered me contracts like right after we beat them. So then that's kind of what got me in. Like, then I was kind of set after that playoff run with Landshut, going to the finals when we weren't supposed to. We lost in overtime it was a 5-game series. We lost in overtime of game 5. And I was a pretty big contributor. So then I followed the money to Bietigheim, to the Steelers. They had a lot of money. So their thing was, if you sign there, you basically get paid twice as much, but you show up July 1st. So I went there July 1st after going to the finals with Landshut, and all we did was work out. Monday to Thursday, you would work out so much. We were doing 3-a-days, running around a track, doing all this stuff, and then they'd give us Friday to Sunday off, and you got 6 imports there that have nothing to do. All these German guys go home, and us 6 imports are looking at each other going, well, where are we going this weekend? Because none of the wives are going to come over in July. So we were going out, we were drinking, we were and we bonded, but we had a hoot that July. Like, it was basically the 6 Canadians all, getting to know each other and doing whatever on weekends, and working out like crazy Monday to Thursday and Florida Friday to Sunday.
There's a lot of glossing over there, Brent. There's got to be some stories.
Oh, no, it was it was a lot of working out, but like, yeah, we had good times going out, but nothing Like we were all, just the normal stuff, the normal tomfoolery.
Just spray painting your body and yeah.
No, that didn't start till later in my career.
The veteran stage, yeah.
That's once I become really comfortable in my own skin.
Where in Germany did you learn your karaoke skills?
Oh, yeah, I teed Freddie up with that one. So it was my first year in Bietigheim. And after I went July 1st, and they make me train as hard as they did. I started out the season very well. I think I had like 2 points a game through the first, 20 games or so. So I was doing very well, leading the league in scoring, and our whole team went out, and the next day is the town parade. So they got a float there, and we're waiting to start, and we're all kind of hung over and hanging our heads in the grass, waiting for this thing to start. And there's these old German ladies doing square dancing, and they're playing country songs. So so I start singing away while I'm sitting on this bench waiting for the parade to start. The older guy of the team, one of the caps, goes, "You know all these songs? Why don't you sing?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, let's see if they have a song, and then you sing for everybody." And I said, "Sure. Yeah, see if they got George Strait, Clear Blue Sky." And I was just for fun. And they did. They had it on this iPod. So I grabbed the mic of this old German guy's mic that he's singing these old songs while these 4 ladies are square dancing. So I grabbed the mic. I got the float in front of us is minor hockey. So I got all of minor hockey in front of me, all the kids, all the parents. I got our professional team. I got these square dancers. I got everybody in the parade waiting for the parade to start. And I grabbed the mic and I belted out George Strait, Clear Blue Sky. And I am a terrible singer, like awful. You guys have seen me do Shake It Off, I believe. I'm not a very good dancer or singer, but my enthusiasm, I think, makes up for it. So I sang my heart out that day. And then I went home and I said, "Hey, honey, I just sang George Strait to the whole town of Bietigheim." Yeah, everybody gets a kick out of me for a while.
Are you not going to sing it for us now, Brent? A couple of lines?
No. My karaoke days are well past me. I was young and vibrant, like 24 when I did that.
Yeah, and finished up in Dundee Bar singing Shake It Off, I believe.
Well, yeah, you guys asked me to do it.
Bietigheim was where you spent the majority of your time in Germany. What was it about that place that made you want to stay so long?
The money.
If I'm being quite frank, it was the money.
Parade.
Yeah. It
parade.
was if we should talk about the parade, I really let them know what Wally was about that first year.
They wouldn't let him leave. That's
so my first 3 seasons of pro, I went to the finals of whatever league I was in. So my first year I went to the finals of the Coast. We lost. The next year I went to the finals with Landshut. We lose in overtime of the final game because the same guy took 2 penalties, but we won't bring that up. In overtime, 2 penalties in overtime. Anywho, no, I'm going to move on. So we lost in overtime, and then I see guys like crying in the locker room, like the older guys, and I'm like, I mean, you go to the finals every year, like it's not that big of a deal, is it? And then you realize how hard it is to win. And the next year in Bietigheim, basically we were like the New York Yankees of the second league. We paid for a championship. Like my dog could have won. My dog could have coached us. we were really, really good. Our seventh defenseman could have been a top 2 defenseman on any other team. We were stacked, and we won it. And that's the parade story. I may as well get right into it, eh? So we end up beating Munich in Munich to win the championship. So my third year, finally, 3 years in a row going to the finals, we finally win it. And we have a good time that night. We all drink all the way back on the bus from Munich to Bietigheim, and then we get back to Bietigheim, and they have this old warehouse with a live band, and all the fans are there waiting for us at like 3 in the morning. Like, we didn't get back till 3 in the morning. So then you go until, I don't know, 7 in the morning or something. So this is I know this makes me sound old, but this is before Twitter and iPhones and all the whole thing, right? I just had this old Nokia phone. So the next day, the guys text at noon. We sleep for like 4 or 5 hours. We just won the championship. They're like, let's go downtown and have some beers. And I'm like, yeah, we just won. Yeah, let's go have beers. So we go downtown. There's about 5 or 6 of us, mainly the imports, the guys that really don't know what's going on. The German guy that's from Bietigheim originally, he shows up and goes, "What are you guys doing?" We couldn't figure out why all these people kept showing up downtown. He goes, "What are you doing? We have a parade right now." We literally have slept for like 4 hours and then started drinking again. And on the way back from Munich on the bus, I know you guys know I'm very into fashion. Well, I had these old blue jeans because you didn't have to dress up for games that I wore like all year. And I told the boys, just as a joke, I'm like, I'm going to cut these jeans off tomorrow, and I'm going to wear my cut-off jeans. And they'd given us a shirt that said Deutsche Meisters. So I put on the Deutsche Meister shirt, and I got my blue jeans cut off so short my underwear's hanging out the bottom. And we go downtown for beers, and I'm thinking this is just fun. It's just us. We're just going out for beers because we won the championship. Well, then all of a sudden we have a parade. So I got my dog downtown. We got 6 of us that definitely cannot drive. So we all pile into this compact car, and I'm in the trunk with 2 dogs. My dog, that's huge, and another little dog. We pull up to the rig. I didn't realize winning a championship in Germany was a really big deal. I thought it was like we won like the men's league in Germany. I didn't know. We show up, open the trunk. I roll out of the compact car with my dog, my other buddy's dog. I'm in my cut-off jeans with my underwear hanging out the bottom with my Deutsche Meister t-shirt on. And I got the news is filming me roll out of the car. And there's like thousands of people there. And I roll out of the car, and I'm looking at the news guy, and he's looking at me, and I got my cut-off jeans and my Deutsche Meister shirt on. And I thought, oh, well, yeah, I'm Wally. Yeah, we went, did the parade downtown. My dog was on the float with me. Yeah, it was quite the evening though, and I was not dressed for a parade. I was not dressed appropriately at all. And
that's my mission now, to get that German news footage.
There was no Twitter back then, but I definitely checked YouTube for a while just to make sure that nothing came up that I didn't. Yeah, it cost
you all the money that you made there.
Yeah. Well, it was. Yeah, no, that team. We were sponsored by Porsche, and that first year, they put in every single player on the team's contract. They would get 250 euros per point, over 80 points for the season, for the team. So once we got to 80 points, a win's 3 points. So that's 750 euros a player every win. We lost the first one once we got to 80, and then we never lost another game the rest of the season. I think we ended up with 105 points.
Nice.
So we would have these young 18-year-olds that their normal like salary was like $100. all of a sudden they're getting 750 euros a win and they're not even playing a shift. So they show up with new laptops and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, they had money, and then it went downhill. So that year I played, we won the championship. It was my best year professionally. And I had offers in the first league in Germany, decided to go back because I knew we were going to win the championship and we were supposed to go up to the first league if we won. Well, that was the same year Porsche lost all its money. The economic crisis happened. And basically we won and we could have gone up, but we didn't have the money to anymore. So ended up staying in the second league. So then that next year was when I hurt my knee in preseason. And basically I had to go back there because I missed a whole season of hockey, and realistically in Europe, that's the only team that's going to sign me, is the team that knows me. So I stayed there the whole year, showed them I was healthy, showed them I was better, then flew home for the summer, and then I ended up staying there a couple more years. But
how did you feel your time when you had your knee injury there? Was it the same
oh
as
no.
Cardiff?
No, it was I did not spray paint myself. No, what happened was
You didn't have kids then to steal their costumes. That's the
I
problem.
definitely got fat. It was I think it was New Year's Eve. It was when the coach called me. He calls me New Year's Eve. We're all out drinking. I don't go around the rink for practices. I'd show up for the games and watch, and I'd be there for practice to hang out with the boys. But I was done for the year. Like, it was a PCL reconstruction. So like, it was massive surgery. So they all knew I couldn't play the rest of the season, but I wanted to stay in their face so I could get a contract for the next year. But me being me, I ate a lot of pizza, drank a lot of wine, really hit the rehab hard. And then the coach calls me New Year's Eve and says, I want to meet with you. And then I met him the next day, and he says, are you done with hockey? I said, what? 23 or 24. And he goes, are you done with hockey? I'm like, no. He goes, well, you're so fat, it looks like you're done with hockey. And he says, if you want to play here next year, you're going to do everything I say for the rest of the season. I said, okay. Well, you should have seen these workouts. Like, this guy was very over the top with everything he did. So it turned out to be, I rode the bike in the sauna for 90 minutes a day.
Wow.
The whole season, from New Year's Day on, 90 minutes a day in the sauna, and boy, was I skinny.
For those first few days with the wine and pizza sweats and things like that, it's got to be tough.
Well, it was. This was before iPhones or anything. I had nothing to do in there. Like, you can't really have tension on the bike because it's 90 minutes. Like, so I would just kind of let the pedals go, and sometimes I'd try and sneak out because I do it while they're out for practice, and it'd be like 67 minutes, and I would try and sneak out of the sauna. And this the old physio guy, Hans, I think his name was, he'd say, Waldo, that's only 67 minutes. You go back in the sauna. And I'd have to go in and finish my 90-minute ride every day. And I did it, and then they signed me for the next year. So I guess it is what it is.
We've also got.
It was a tough time.
We've also got some notes in here that I don't know if it leads on from the shape you're in, but about photo shoots.
That was the most bizarre day of a professional hockey player I've ever had. So the first year you go to Germany, there's the culture shock. I was a pretty young guy, but I was starting to get my footing, starting to feel it out, starting to feel comfortable. And I switched teams after we go to the finals, and I start with Bietigheim, and they say, okay, this is how it works with this team, is when we have these functions, we're going to put up which players have to go. So the Monday, it says these 6 players have to show up at the rink for a photo shoot. So I tell Lisa, I say, hey, I got to go for a photo shoot like 11 a.m. Monday. She goes, okay. So I show up, and they're like, "Yeah, this is a erotic photo shoot." And a bus shows up with like 6 Russian women, like legit, like strippers, like escorts. I don't know what they were. And they had like a madame. They had like one in charge, and they come in, and we got a photographer there, and then they have all these things we're gonna do. And the first one is we're gonna go put our equipment on and go out on the ice, and the girls are gonna come out with skates on, but they're gonna be naked, and we're gonna play hockey against them. So we play a game with naked Russian women and the 6 guys that were told they have to be there because this is their job. And so we're all pretty tight and a little on edge, like, what is happening here? Well, then the same PR guy that had the bright idea to do an erotic photo shoot says, "You guys seem a little on edge. Why don't we go get some booze? Why don't we go get some wine and some beer, and you guys can relax, have a couple drinks?" I'm like, yeah, sure. This is bizarre. This is the weirdest thing I've ever
Were you
done.
being groomed?
So we're literally playing hockey with naked women, and then they got us sitting on the bench, full gear, and naked women behind us pretending they're the coaches, and then like, yeah, it was nuts. So then they had all these different shots. So we do all the stuff on the ice. We go off, and then legit, they have me written down as the guy that's getting the massage. So I'm going to be getting a massage from the naked Russian lady. And I'm like, whew, not sure about this. Don't know if I should do this. I understand this is my job and you're asking me to do it, but really don't think I should. But then, thank goodness, the photographer said I didn't have the body for the massage shoot.
What?
Yeah, he told me that I was not fit enough to be in the massage picture. So I got cut from the massage picture. And so this other guy, the big chiseled German fella, he got on there and got all rubbed down, which was great. You know, I didn't want to be involved. But then, so the last shot of the day was, it was my favorite because they said, okay, now this is the last picture of the day. We're going to have a shower picture. I'm like, pardon me. They're like, yeah, you guys are all going to get naked and get in the shower with the girls, and we're going to have a picture in there. I'm like, nope. Nope. No, I'm not. No, like, it sounds fun. It does. It sounds fun. But no, I'm not going in there. So me and my good buddy Justin Kelly, he would be like, he would be the Bietigheim Steelers GOAT. They just retired his jersey. He was my centerman there. He was 6'5" and good looking. We call ourselves Big and Little Sexy, you know. But me and him both took the option.
Sexy.
Well, you know, I was a little sexy, you know. But we both took the option on the shower scene, and they take all these photos, and I'm like, holy moly, like, that guy that's in there, he's married with 3 kids. Like, what is he thinking? But he's thinking, well, this is my job, and they've asked me to do this, so I'm gonna head right into that shower, and I need to get all lathered up. You know,
what a pro,
like they were lathering each other up. And this PR guy's great idea was that we are gonna make a calendar out of this and sell it to the fans. So the guy that was in the shower scene, well, all these wives put up enough stink that the calendar is canceled, and I do not have proof that this actually happened. And the guy that hosted it all, he said to me, he said, "Do you want me to send you some photos so you could keep these?" And I said, "No, please. I need proof that this day happened." But no, I never got them, and that was my most bizarre day as a professional hockey player. Was an erotic photo shoot with a bunch of women from Russia that couldn't speak English or German, so the Germans couldn't talk to them, the English guys couldn't talk to them, but they were all 4 going into the shower and lathering guys up.
I think this has just trumped the TV news footage in your denim hot pants as my number one research for Brent Walton now. The next couple of weeks.
Like I said, I really let Bietigheim know I was there that first year.
What you do?
Hein cut off shorts.
But yeah, so basically the way it worked there in Bietigheim was the first year, like I went there as kind of a big signing, whatever. We did really well. It was on the first line, first penalty kill. I had the season of my career. I was on my way up. Every year pro had gone better. And then that next year I got hurt, like basically as soon as I got there in preseason. And I went to see 3 different doctors. 3 different doctors had a different opinion of what I should do. So naturally, being a hockey player and the team, we go with you should have surgery, you should be out 3 to 6 months, or 4 to 6 weeks. So obviously we went with the 4 to 6 weeks, and obviously we went with the 4 weeks. So after 4 weeks is the first regular season game, because we go in July. And I'll never forget this. I know my knee's not ready. It's like wobbly still, because it was partially torn the first time. And I could tell it wasn't quite right. But then we're stretching pregame skate, and the coach says, yeah, and we're going to have Wally back tonight unless he's a big P word. I don't know what I can say on here, but that's what he said in front of the whole team. So he basically called me out like saying, I'm going to play unless I'm a puss, you know? So then I'm like, well, I'll play. So then I played the first 4 games this season, and I did well, but I could really hardly skate. And if I had you see like a Connor McDavid documentary, I didn't have an agent. I didn't have anybody telling me what to do. I didn't have anybody around me. I didn't even know what a PCL was. Like, they told me in German what this thing was, Hinterskreuzband. I'm like, what is that? And they say, oh, it's a PCL. I'm like, no, you must be mistaken. There's an A and an MCL. There's no PCL. They're like, no, that's a real thing. I'm like, oh, okay. So I came back, played 4 games, and completely tore it. And I knew I had completely torn it in the game. And I was like, well, basically what happens was my shin bone wasn't attached to my knee anymore. And I was like, well, I may as well finish the game, because that's how we're all brought up back in the day, right? Old school hockey is like you finish the game or you get up. So I finished the game, and I actually scored a goal, but I couldn't even stand up. And then after that, I never played the rest of the season, and rode the bike in the sauna for 90 minutes a day, and ate pizza and drank wine and enjoyed Germany. But then after that, after Porsche lost all their money, the budget went way down in Bietigheim, and they were basically wanting to be in the playoffs. Instead of wanting to win it, they wanted to be in the playoffs. And the budget went way down, and they decided they were just going to sign 1 power play unit with big money. The rest weren't going to make much. So then we weren't good for a few years. I didn't realize how important winning was to me until I started losing and knowing we were going to lose, and it was awful. Life just is not good when you're winning. So yeah, then the last year they got a new coach mid-season. I think I was 20 goals in 20 games, and we're in last place. And we got a new coach, and me and him didn't see eye to eye. He was, he'd like bring in your line mate and say one thing to him, and then bring you in, tell you something different. And he was like trying to get you to like talk shit about each other. And I was like, this isn't how I roll. This isn't what I'm doing. And came to the end of the season, their biggest rivals offered me a contract. I went to him, and he said, I don't need you. And went to their biggest rivals, and that was that. It was kind of I thought I'd play my whole career there. I thought I would be a Bietigheim Steeler forever. And it changed very quickly with the budget, and then you kind of get roped into why we're losing when you signed up knowing we were going to lose this year. And then you get a new coach, and then they kind of blame the losing on you too. And you're like, well, I knew we were going to lose this year. Like, look at the team we got. We're not even close. So it was tough. They told me that if I stayed around for those years, that we'd get through this and the budget would go up, and then once they get a new coach, that's really not the case, and which was fine. It brought me to Cardiff, which is great.